What's happening, fam? L.A.R. movement still moving. Book is entitled Lessons from a Non-Custodial Father at Amazon Kindle and Create Space. The link will be in the description box, as usual. This video is entitled What Nas and Kelis Represent. I don't really get on celebrities, but because of the topic, this is why I'm getting on it. Nas decided to state his case, which is out of character for Nas. He's like, he keeps things to himself. So, it's really got to be getting at him. So what does Nas represent? When I read the thing and listened to the other people's commentary about it too, Nas represents a guy who fell in love with a woman who was there for him in a very low moment. Some of us do that. He represents a guy who his friends and family told him, "Nah, she ain't the one, dog." And he had to fight with his friends and family about that, her not being the one, because she was there for him in his time of need. That's another thing he represents. I'm gonna get into the more of the parenting part also, so don't just bear with me. Another thing along the way he represents is a guy who felt like, he was centered enough to handle somebody that was off center. Because he's a cool guy, and she seemed to be somewhat of a hothead. Now, had to get that out the way. Now, also he represents a lot of how a lot of fathers who have all of this drama feel. In some ways, people, they ask these guys, they say to guys, if I was you, I'll fight for my kid tooth and nail. But even a millionaire can pay attention to the games that can be played. Like, it gets taxing, it gets old, it gets tiring, it gets ridiculous. So he represents the guy who's spent money on the lawyers and went to the courts and had to fight for stuff that's other people say you should fight for, but you really shouldn't have to fight for. You shouldn't have to fight in court to see your child, especially if you're not a threat to your child. You're fighting in court to see your own kid because somebody else just doesn't want you to. That's all. That's what he represents. One of the other things he represents is how people are quick to jump on the bandwagon of the bad man, bad dad, bad black dude thing, because for all of these times before he even spoke his mind, or even wrote his mind, everything she said would be somewhat believable. He did this, and it's like, that's okay, and people could see it even though they couldn't see it. They'll make it up. It could be true. And a lot of fathers go through that. Like, what people say about you has to in some ways be true, because God forbid, people act like men don't get lied on. Also, what he represents is those guys who try to be the bigger person because they don't want to put all of their business out on the street, or put their child's mother on blast because they don't want their kids seeing, the fallout in front of a bunch of people. But his case, he's a celebrity, so it's gonna be out there. It's been out there all this time. It's unfortunate, but for us men, we know it's pretty much normal, and I would guess in some ways he's gonna represent people calling him soft and weak, because this should have never happened to you and you should have known better. He's gonna represent that guy too. Like, you could have done so much better. And it's like, hey man, look out in this world, everybody. A lot of people, more people are getting got than not. So that is what it is. Um, I can't really. Kelis, I'm gonna try to still be calm, but she represents a lot of things too. Kelis represents, you know, the women who really not over their ex and use the baby as a weapon. You know, which I think if she keeps this up, it's really gonna cost her marriage, in my opinion. You know, because nobody want that in their house all the time. Kelis also represents that the woman who has bad behavior, but everybody gives up pass because she's a woman and a mother. You know, because everything that she's done, that he said that she's done, uh, pretty much lines up like her character has been for years. You know, prior to them being together, with them being together, and with them being apart. But everybody, oh, she's a woman, she's a mother, so you know it's okay. Like that's what she represents. That the single mother who just gets away with murder because she's a mother and a woman. She also represents the strong, independent woman thing because the very thing she's doing, Nas said, you know, he helped her with that. It's her dream, it's her passion. But if he sent her to, you know, paid for the school and all that, you know, she represents that vindictive type that man could do everything for you, and you could walk around and act like you did it on your own, and still throw that guy under the bus. You know, she represents the self-sabotager, as he was talking about, because by the way she acts, she wants to be viewed as a victim, but by her own actions, you could tell she's always an instigator. Not always, but she's an instigator a lot. And, you know, society, the courts will side with her because she's a woman and a mother. But society is like, you gotta, this is old, you know. She represents the kind of mother who, or a woman who thinks, you know, their kids are going to always side with her no matter what, without taking into consideration that she's a habitual line stepper and how she's done things that would definitely, some may be considered unforgivable, and others may just be considered just ridiculously evil, you know. But it's okay, right? She represents that quote unquote baby mama who doesn't want to see you happy in life, who thinks that you owe her for everything. Because if you notice, you know, every time it looked like Nas was living his best life, Kelis pops up and tries to throw dirt on that man's name. You know, she represents an opportunist who was just there for the money. Because every time Nas' name and Money name come up, she pop up. You know, even when she had a little interview about her getting hit, Money came up. You know, she saw Nas live. He's making more money. I need more money, and that's what this is about with her. She's money hungry, and she thinks, you know, his money should be her money, while she has a husband, and they're already divorced, which I don't get, but whatever. She also represents the kind of mother that you can't be with your child unless we together. Unless we're in some type of relationship, you can't have you can't have access to my kid. You know, there are guys who do the reverse, but I know people will say, "But men do." Yeah, I know guys who do that. But right now, she represents the women who do that because women do that. You know, and I think ultimately she represents the unstable women who leave carnage everywhere they go, and then turn on the crocodile tears, and everybody comes running to hug them. Because everything she's done has been strategic, manipulative, planned in time, that it planned and done in a time to skew public opinion to get something out of it. So, you know, she's a very vindictive woman. And ultimately, like most of them, that's going to be her undoing. And she's just going to have a history of, to the point where people are going to say, you know, as we're too old to be dealing with you. We're adults and you're just out there. So, it's my opinion on this one. I'm chilling. Y'all have a good night on this. Peace.